Death of a Salesman by Arthur Miller. Let's first summarize a little bit here. What is Willy's current situation before he kills himself? He doesn't have a job. He's broke. He's struggling with his sons. How are Happy and Biff different at the end? Biff realizes the truth. Biff realizes, I'm going to follow my heart. I'm going to do what I want to do, not what this world seems to tell me I'm supposed to do. Happy doesn't see that, though. Happy is going to continue down the same road his dad went down. And how about Bernard? What purpose does Bernard serve? He's a foil character. A foil character means he has all of the opposite qualities of our main characters, and those opposite qualities are emphasizing the qualities that are missing in our main characters. And so Bernard is the foil. He is successful, unlike Willy. However, he's humble, also unlike Willy. He values kindness. He values friends rather than the status of his friends. He has a good relationship with his dad. He seems to have life figured out, unlike Willy, Biff, and Happy. This play is a tragedy, an imitation of incidents that arouse pity and fear. Pity because we readers are supposed to feel empathy or feel pity for the main character. Fear because we readers are supposed to worry that we ourselves might suffer the same fate. We might make the same mistake as Willy Loman has made. The playing out of these events will lead to catharsis, an emotional connection or a cleansing or a relief at the end of the play. That catharsis is going to reveal new learning for us readers. Does the play arouse pity within you? Can you pity Willy Loman? And if you say yes, you're probably reasoning that he is a victim of a capitalist, materialistic society and the oppressive institutions that rule that society. If you say no, you don't pity him, you think he is a third-rate salesman who has had an affair on his wife, treats his family poorly, and therefore deserves no pity. Let's think about cause-effect as we're going through this lecture today. Be taking notes too. Your final at the end of this unit will ask you to write a paper, an argument paper, about whether you pity Willy Loman or not. Yes or no, you'll have to answer that question. So be jotting down ideas as you're thinking about that question. What causes Willy's misguided notions about life, about what matters in life? What causes it? And is this pitiable? Willy Loman set out on a quest to achieve money, fame, and happiness as a traveling salesman. However, Willy's work produces the exact opposite results. His family is in debt. He is not noticed by his colleagues. Nobody comes to his funeral. He's exhausted, cranky, and ill. He is not happy in the least. He's angry too. Willy is not remorseful about his affair and how his affair impacted Biff. Rather, he's angry about being discovered, probably angry with himself for having the affair in the first place. What caused that? Did his lack of success elsewhere, his general unhappiness, lead him to the affair? Did unfair notions of society, institutions that seem to require all of us to reach a certain definition of success, did that push him to have his affair? Did that push him to feel worthless and to despair, which caused him to have his affair? Did he think he would be put in through to those buyers right away if he had this affair and it would lead to success? Or is he just a lousy cheat? Can we pity Willy Loman? He made poor choices, absolutely. We're not going to condone the affair. We're not going to say, oh yes, it's okay, it's good. No. But can we understand why he did it? And then can we pity it? Or just be dismayed at his poor choices? What other choices does he make? Why else does he not succeed? Willy's decision not to go to Alaska with his brother Ben. He could have gone with his brother Ben, decided, nope, I'm going to stay here. I'm going to be a salesman. He could have taken Charlie's job. It wasn't a prestigious job. So he said, no, I'm not taking that job. I'm going to make it in business. I can do this. He probably would have been a good carpenter. Why did he never find a job as a carpenter? Well, that didn't fit with his ideas about being a successful businessman, being a successful American. So no, he's not going to do that either. What caused him to do this? What led him to these decisions? Is it an American dream that is corrupt? The same dream that we are all chasing, you guys. Does our capitalist society allow some to succeed and then withhold success from others? And is Willy a victim of this? Does our capitalist society instill misguided notions about what success means? Willy Loman works very hard. We can't say he's lazy. He has worked his whole life very hard. And he's dismayed at the end because success does not come to him. Tragic heroes will end up suffering from a change in their fortune that is a result of their hamartia, or their tragic flaw. The tragic flaw is usually due to their own ignorance or their quest to preserve their own dignity. Very true to life, huh? The protagonist will mistakenly bring about his or her own downfall. No human is perfect, so we expect characters, just as we expect people, to have flaws. What is Willy's tragic flaw? What brings about his downfall? And is that pitiable? Well, we could say his tragic flaw is his obsession with his dream, to be the best salesman, to be known worldwide, to be rich. We could say his tragic flaw is that he always gives preference to face value, to materialism, to popularity, essentially to false values, things that really don't matter. Even when raising his kids, these are the values he instills into his kids. We must remember, these are the values that our society tends to champion. Because of these false values, influenced by society, Willy does not allow himself to embrace a career in which he could have been successful, like farming or carpentry. And so his hubris, his arrogance, lays in his thinking that he can reach the top of society, so much so that he fails to see truth and reality. His arrogance is so salient in his life that it clouds his ability to see reality. As Willy plainly points out to Biff, he is not, and I quote, an everyman. He rejects Biff when Biff says, "Pop, I'm a dime a dozen, and so are you," which is the truth for most of us, you guys. He nor his boys are allowed to be an everyman. And that's his hubris. And that could be his tragic flaw. This materialistic, false value society, it rejects Willy, but Willy refuses to see it. His hubris, his arrogant need to be number one, clouds his ability to see clearly what matters in life. He sees himself as, and he desperately wants to fit the mold of, a first-rate salesman. He refuses to be anything else, despite his apparent carpentry skills. He built that guest house, building the guest house, the ceiling, the front stoop, Charlie's job offer. He refuses to be anything else. He says, even your grandfather was better than a carpenter, when Biff is trying to convince Willy that a profession other than business would suit him well. Willy reveals his philosophy about success many times. To Ben, he says, "It's not what you do, Ben, it's who you know, the basis of being liked." Charlie contradicts this philosophy in a conversation about Bernard's success. Willy says, quite surprised, "The Supreme Court," and he didn't even mention it. But Charlie says, well, he doesn't have to. He's just going to do it. Who you know matters little, according to Charlie. Charlie gets it. Who likes you being popular doesn't matter. If you're number one, it doesn't matter. It's what you do. And it's if you're happy doing what you do. Charlie, the guy Willy claims is his only friend, and thus someone Willy should listen to, twice says, "Willy, when are you going to grow up?" Once when Biff is going to go play on Ebbets Field, and again when Willy angrily turns down Charlie's job offer. Willy is encouraged to go through Anagnorisis, that revelation, to see clearly, to see who he really is, and to accept his place in the world, a place that we all share as an everyman, just an everyday Joe. But tragically, Willy does not see clearly. Miller argues that a capitalist society pushes people to strive for success that is defined by status, materialism, and popularity. How are you already victims of this? Do you feel the need to attend a prestigious college, to wear the right shoes, the right clothes, to have the right friends, to go to the right parties? Or have you moved beyond these notions already? Willy is struggling too. Anagnorisis. Willy does go through Anagnorisis to some extent. Willy's Anagnorisis is what ultimately leads Willy to commit suicide in the end. He realizes his dream of success has not been realized, symbolized by the seeds he's planting. He tries to plant a garden, but as Ben says, it may be too late. That's why Ben keeps looking at his watch, huh? It's too late, Willy. This is also symbolic of the loss of faith in Willy's ability to achieve his dream or to experience Anagnorisis. It's too late for Willy. He's not going to realize it. Willy does not see clearly in the way that we would like him to, despite Biff's attempts to reason with him, to focus for once on the facts and reality. Linda tries to reason with him. She says, "You're doing well enough, Willy. Why must everyone conquer the world?" Willy continues to hold on to his dream, and he can't overcome his hubris, his arrogance, his need to be number one, which is his tragic flaw. His realization is that he won't make it. It is indeed too late. But Biff will, if Willy commits suicide and gets the insurance money. It's his final business decision. And it's tragic. And it's so angering for the reader because Biff sees it. Biff says, and I quote, "Will you take that phony dream and burn it?" And Biff is okay with being an everyman. But Willy is so utterly obsessed with face value, with rising to the top, with making it big, which many people are. Buying homes they can't afford, new cars, new phones, fancy vacations, credit card debt. That's America, isn't it? Willy doesn't see the truth about his worth, about anybody's worth in society, about what should matter. And what, might you ask, should matter? Well, if we think back to Sandra Bullock, it's the relationships. Willy doesn't see that. Thus, he makes one last effort to make it big, suicide, to get that insurance money. And that leads to the catastrophe. Ultimately, we must ask ourselves if we can pity Willy Loman. Is Willy's obstacle fate, society, that corrupt American dream, materialism, a skewed definition of success? Or is it his free will? Willy says to Howard, "You can't eat the orange and throw the peel away." He means you can't suck 34 years out of a man and then let him go when he gets old and less productive. However, eating the orange and throwing the peel away is actually what we do with an orange. Is this what we do with people in our world too? We use what we can and then reject them after we have sucked out what we need? This broken metaphor revealed Miller's ideas about a capitalist, materialistic-driven society. It's the orange metaphor, the ruthless nature of the capitalistic system, as people such as Willy are carelessly discarded after they have been used to benefit the firm, and they're no longer needed or useful. We also must think about the American dream. Does it distort our worldview into thinking, as Biff suggests, that we all have to be big shots in 2 weeks? That materialistic items matter rather than relationships and satisfaction in a job well done, no matter the status of that job? Willy's job in itself forces him to abandon his family while traveling on the road, which is something Willy's own father and brother did to him too. His ultimate catastrophe in his final abandonment in his death, which is a business decision. And it's perhaps the reason Linda can't cry at the end. She hasn't accepted that he has abandoned them for good to pursue the dream of wealth and status. Can you pity that? Or can you just say, "Willy Loman, you should have been a better salesman"? Does the play create fear within you about your own conceptions about who and what you are and will become? Do you feel obligated to attend that prestigious school, to graduate with honors and land a 6-figure job shortly thereafter? Or here in Lake Wobegon, are we able to focus on what really matters? The things Willy has but fails to see. His marriage, his doting wife, his family, his hobbies like gardening. Happy remains just like his father. Biff, by the end, sees that he is an everyman, like everyone else, and Biff is okay with it. Biff will make it. Happy will not. Willy did not. Willy Loman is wrong in his approach to life, and he's wrong about his abilities. but we must consider his motivation to the approach he took in life. We must examine context. What kind of world did Arthur Miller write about? What kind of world is Willy Loman living in? What about this world would drive him to approach life holding so tightly to false values, to materialism, and to popularity? Could this dream drive someone to have an affair even? It reminds me of Macbeth. What are we willing to do to get what we want? What kind of dream does America champion? What must you accomplish to be seen, in the eyes of this country, as successful? As Charlie says, it's a rough world. Is Willy a victim of society and thus fate, and thus deserving of our pity? As the final curtain closes, the lights focus on the hard walls of the apartment buildings, symbolic of that closed-in, stuck feeling. The capitalist city overwhelming the love that could have been in this home. And then we can pity Macbeth. Or, as the final curtain closes and the lights focus on the hard walls of the apartment buildings, is this symbolic of the closed-in, stuck feeling? But in this case, it's Willy stuck in his own misguided ways, ultimately ignorant and arrogant and a cheater and deserving no pity.